All right, everybody, it is that time again. It's 2 o'clock on Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern time to be exact, and it's time for episode 14 of My CP Does Not Define Me, because it does not define me, and it does not define you for that matter. Hope everybody is having a great Wednesday afternoon. We've got an action-packed show this hour, so we're going to get right down to it. I am so excited about this show because I did a promo just a couple of minutes ago about the friend I'm going to bring in. We're in a CP group together. We've been talking for a long time. He has CP as well. He is a lot like me, actually. We have a lot in common, and he's a great friend. I'm going to bring on my buddy Kyle Russo. Kyle, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, DJ. Thanks for having me here today.
Man, it's awesome. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. We've been talking about getting you on the show. I'm so excited. I want everybody to know you just a little bit, so I'm going to give you the floor for a couple of minutes. Can you talk about, if you would, just the CP that you have, and tell us a little bit about yourself to start the show?
Okay. Well, I'm Kyle Russo. I have spastic CP, quadriplegia, if I say that right. Well, my journey with CP hasn't always been positive. It took me a long time to accept the fact that I was disabled. That didn't happen until around high school. And then in college, I started a group, a registered student organization. It's called Student Disability Network, aimed at bridging the gap at being disabled and temporarily able-bodied, and just showing that there isn't an us versus them, it's just we. And then after college, that kind of planted the seed. And then just about a year ago, actually tomorrow, I started a YouTube channel, My Disabled Experience, just where I chronicle kind of my daily life with CP. I post every Tuesday, and it's been a real positive journey, just connecting with everyone in the disability community, and growing as a family, and meeting DJ and all my other great friends that I've met in the group that we're in, and it's been an amazing journey.
Awesome. Now, hey, Mike, how you doing? Hey, Josh, thank you guys for coming in. As you guys come in, again, we've got my special guest and great friend, Kyle Russo, on the show today. Kyle, now talk a little bit about how your CP affects you. Are you able to walk on your own at all? What kind of things can you do with your CP that some others can't?
Okay, well, I've kind of had a big mobility journey with my CP. When I was younger, I started in a wheelchair, and then I transitioned through a lot of physical therapy to a walker, and then arm crutches. And I'm currently still on arm crutches. I'm still on arm crutches.
Tough phrase. It's all right.
Yeah. It's, I can walk short distances without my crutches. But anything really long term, I definitely need to be using them. I do wear AFOs. That was a big lesson to learn. You gotta wear your AFOs.
Yeah, man. We both been through that one. Go ahead.
Well, that lesson was, if you don't wear your AFOs, you could have surgery.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. My ankle fell in, and they had to go in and correct it, and that really did set me back a lot in terms of progress, because my recovery just didn't go as planned.
Yeah, I think, and I believe, with a lot of people with CP, the ankles become if you don't wear the AFOs, the ankles and hamstrings and heel cords become a tough thing. Hey, Christina, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Great having you on the show with us. So what kind of things do you not struggle with in CP? Where are you as far as, now you said you use the loft strain crutches, which are the arm crutches. How much does that help? How much does that help you?
Oh, a lot. Well, there was, at one point, I was down to just using one arm crutch, and that, just having that free hand to be able to open doors and just pick things up. Now, I still will go back and forth between one and two, but lately it's been two. So, well, as you know, DJ, I got new crutches, and I can't show them here, but I realized with those that, those are good for long distance, walking and a
Mm-hmm.
lot. But the new crutches I got, for just small little trips here and there, and just being like at home if I need to use them for anything, they're not the most compact. They're pretty bulky. They're
Right,
an
right.
MD crutch, and so I've realized that I've had to transition to, because what was happening was I wasn't using any for the small little trips here and there because
So you were just going around the house basically holding on to stuff?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and like even if it was like, oh, I'm running to my grandma's, or I would just not bring my crutches, and
Right.
I realized that that's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to realize that I had to transition to using my new crutches for long distance walking, and my old crutches for just the small little trips.
Right.
Um,
Now, are
so
your old crutches now I can't say my words. Are your old are your old crutches bulky as well, or are they the smaller type versus your new crutches? Because you had done some research before you got them, correct?
I did. No, my old crutches are very lightweight and compact, um, typical forearms. Then the new ones are pretty bulky because of the way the position is, with my shoulders being up and forward,
Mm-hmm.
and the forearms are resting on the crutches. So they it was a big change, and that's something like I knew it was going to be bigger when I was looking at them, and I didn't know how much that was going to affect my use with them. And then what happened with Corona and everything, I wasn't leaving the house very much, so I didn't really use those new crutches because I really wasn't going anywhere.
Right. Right.
So I just kind of got used to not using my crutches because I wasn't going distances that I felt I couldn't handle. I
Uh
mean, I
oh.
can do, I will have to hold onto a wall every now and then,
Yeah.
but I can
Yeah.
do some relatively small distances. So I just got comfortable not using crutches. So then when Corona hit, like when we finally were able to kind of come back out of quarantine,
Right.
it was kind of like, oh, this is weird. Like I've had this small little window of like I'm not using my crutches,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I that was what was comfortable. And then I was like, well, now I have to go back out in public,
And get used to
and
using them again.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a big adjustment, and that's where I think when I realized, oh, these new crutches aren't that great for just like the car in the car. They are pretty bulky.
Yeah.
So they don't fit as comfortably next to me in the car as my old ones. So
Now.
then that's when it was like, well, then I just won't use them,
Sure.
because
Sure.
at that time I wasn't thinking, well, I can go between.
Yeah.
I can use the small ones for when it makes more sense to use small ones. They're easier to carry around or easy to put away in the corner somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and use the new ones that give me better support for long distances when I'm going to be walking a lot. So
So
that's something.
So do you have to carry like both pair around with you a lot, because that seems kind of hard, because I understand that the forearm ones are with the smaller distances, you do you have to make a decision of which pair you're going to use, or do you carry both with you?
I make a decision on which one to bring, just because that is a lot to carry around.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know I'm doing a small trip, but then something bigger like going to Walmart and going grocery shopping, I'll just, instead of taking the small ones, I'll just take the big ones and make do um, with the small activity. And then like, oh, now we're going grocery shopping, so I'll use the M&D crutches.
Right.
So it is a lot of just decision making and what I feel is best for my body.
Now the question I've got for you right now, and I wanted to get into this since you kind of brought me right into my next segue there. I believe you had said to me earlier, we talked about it with a little bit on your YouTube channel. The doctor had recommended some crutches for you, but you actually did some research and found some ones that were better. Can you tell a little bit about that story?
Oh, yeah, sure. The thing with that is I stopped seeing my yearly visits at 23. He said, well, I've gotten you through the hard times. Like, you can come back whenever you feel that you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at 23. Well, then 24 goes by. I'm using everything as it was when I had last seen him. 25 came.
Mm-hmm.
Then things started to not feel as great. My knees started to bother me. My shoulders were bothering me, and I didn't know what was happening. And that kind of comes along with exercise. I wasn't exercising like I should have been and taking care of myself as much.
Right. Understand. Mm-hmm.
So then it was like, oh, I couldn't ignore the pain anymore. So then I was like, I think it's time we go back to the orthopedic. Well, we got new insurance in the meantime. And that doctor that I had seen since I was 5 was out of our network. So we couldn't go back to him. And
Oh,
like,
man. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to make a decision on, well, do I wait until we're able to find a new doctor? Or do I just do my research and see what's out there? And how I stumbled upon the M&D crutches were because I was going to do a YouTube video on assistive technology. And I just typed that into Amazon and they popped up. And I'm looking at these crutches and I'm thinking, wow, they would put my shoulders, I'd be more upright than the ones that I'm currently using. And I thought, oh, that would take a lot of pressure off my shoulders. And for a while, they were pretty expensive. They're not as expensive, much more expensive than the regular ones, but they were $200. And I was like, well, it took me a while to sit on them and think, do I want to spend the money?
Sure.
And because it was all out of, at this point, it's just out of pocket. And
oh, wow. So you paid the whole thing up front.
Right. Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah. So I was like, I'm taking a really big risk here on if these crutches are going to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I bought them. Like, I have no regrets in buying them because they do help me. They do take the pressure off my shoulders. And that's when I would feel it the most, is when I was walking a lot and, being active and intensive,
right.
That's where it would start to bother me, and that's what they're good for.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that too is if you think about it, when you use the muscles, especially with CP, when you start moving and you start walking, and Christina had a great comment here. She said, that's the struggle. Don't want you to fall, but got to figure out what's safe and easy. See, with you doing the research yourself in there, trying to find a doctor, trying to get the insurance, because everything is about network, you actually figured out the problem yourself. You went online, researched it, found the crutches that you thought you would need, and then evaluated what you were going to do. That's a heck of a move, man. And a lot of people don't do that. They wait on the doctor to tell them, hey, we're going to try this. We're going to get you a prescription. We're going to send this. We're going to do this. And it can take months and months where the insurance may end up helping you pay for it. But when you ain't got insurance, you're SOL, and that's the way it works.
Right. And I knew that I couldn't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, when I finally was like, I have to make a decision, like, there was no more ignoring the fact that, oh, my shoulders hurt, my knee hurts. And,
right.
So there was no like, well, now I have to wait a few months and see what happens. I had to make that decision on my own. And now I realize, now I can go in between both the former set and the new set, because that's what works for me the best. Mm-hmm. Here, the first couple of months with the new crutches, I was just trying to, since I had paid for them myself, I wanted them to work and be like a really good solution. And they work they do what they need to do when I need them to do it. But then using my old crutches just gives me, more balance, I guess. If it's something that I don't want to lug huge, bulky crutches with, I'll just take my old pair. That way I'm still safe. And if it's not intensive, my shoulders won't bother me as much. So it just works better for me. If anyone,
mm-hmm.
oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead,
If
Kyle.
anyone wants to see the crutches that I'm talking about, I do have a YouTube video for my disabled experience called My Mobility Journey Part 2. If anyone wants to go find that on YouTube, where you can actually see me walking with them for the first time and just showing you all the different features. And maybe they'll be the crutches for you.
The journey itself was CP, and this is kind of what we wanted to talk about with modifications. I use loft strain crutches where I have the cuffs and I slide my arms in. Mine are big and bulky, and mine are steel. Mine are very heavy. But I can definitely understand the decision you made. Number one, to buy them on your own. Okay, to spend the money and take the chance and take the risk to buy them. Number one. Number two, still being able to use your old crutches for short distances and when you don't need to have, as much stress on your shoulders and your knees like you were talking about. I can definitely relate to that because mine would be for short distances, I can use the crutches. Of course, I got out of that and I got out of my, my therapy. That was my fault. I got out of my exercise and then I got into martial arts, and that's where the difference is. Now, I believe you said earlier that you have a chair as well. You have a manual chair as well, Kyle. Was that right?
No, well, I did previously as a kid. We still have it in the basement, but I would no longer fit in. But I've been told that it would be good for me just to have one.
I was getting ready to say one of the things that people don't realize, and I don't want to throw this out there, but to be honest, I think actually Christina just put the link on the for the crutch video for you guys if you want to check that out. Man, your girl is on top of this thing, man. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But I just I've always had a chair, and it. You don't want to become dependent on it, Kyle, but it is good to have. And if you can get a manual one that is fit for you. You can contour the back and just have one that's easy to roll for long distances because walking long distances on crutches for me is a killer.
It's a workout.
Yeah.
It is.
Now, I want to talk about a little bit of modification here. Now, I was able to, when I was good on my crutches, and when I say good, I could stand on one crutch and hold one crutch up and, pick something up off the ground. How have your crutches come in handy, like when you're trying to pick something up or trying to put something in the dryer, or what do you use for your crutches for? Other than walking, and I want to see what you say here.
Well, I mean, especially at my time at university, it's just nice to be able to use them to push the automatic door button when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
Hold elevator doors open when I needed to, for someone or for myself. Hopping over mud puddles.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's kind of where I was going. See, you hit 3 of them right there. Most people don't realize those crutches are long, okay, and they have adjustable studs in the bottom where you can go longer for height, and that's what's so great. So, pressing the door buttons and pressing the elevator buttons make it a little bit easier for you to do what you got to do. Now, I can't do the hop over mud puddles because you have to push down with your arms and swing your legs over. So I have to move one crutch, move one foot, move one crutch, move one foot. Mm-hmm. Do you do the swing walk, or do you do the one crutch, 1 foot walk?
Normally it's one crutch, 1 foot.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to jump over, I'll just, and thankfully that's something that the using crutches has given me. It's some pretty strong arms. So if I need to hop over something, I'll just lean my crutches out and then push down and launch myself forward. Sometimes it's risky. I'm not going to say that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I've fallen, but so I tend not to do that. But if I need to, I'm able. For the
Now,
most.
okay, my next question for you is this one was a tough one for me because no one could figure out why I couldn't do this. I don't walk with my crutch tips flat on the ground. I walk with them out in front of me where I use kind of the corner and the bottom of the crutch tip. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
How do you use them as far as are they straight on the ground, or how do you do it?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. I understand why you want to put them on the sides like that, just because you feel a little bit more stable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, it just gives you, it's hard to explain for those who don't use crutches. It's very hard to explain. I can understand why you'd want to, because it kind of gives you a
stability,
sense of balance.
Yeah, stability. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it kind of just depends, especially on terrain.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the snow, ice, water. Do you slip a lot? Because when I was on my crutches, I slipped all the time. I couldn't go on a slippery floor because of how I walked.
They are, and I think they do have crutch tips now that are made for snow. I need to look into that.
Yeah, they do, and I was actually gonna. Man, you got me right to my neck. I tell you, Kyle's as good as me on this thing. It might be his show here on My CP Does Not Define Me. There's a website there. I was gonna actually tell you about two different crutch tips. There's sportaid.com, www.sportaid.com, and Christina, if you want to drop that in the comments for me, that would be great. They do offer two different types of crutch tips. One is called the Tornado crutch tip, and they make those that have it's a wider crutch tip, but it also has a gritty kind of sandy bottom that allows the crutch tip to grip the icy areas or the slippery areas. Now, you were talking about for hey Nikki, how are you? For the snow, there are carabiners that go over the top of the crutch tip that you have, and you also can get them at sportaid.com. They go over the Tornado crutch tips, and they are, again, carabiners for to stick into the ice or the hard terrainy areas that you, I don't know if that's a word, the hard terrain areas that you go across that are icy. So yes, those are available, and you can check those out. Sportaid.com is the option for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, DJ.
You're welcome.
That's something, just because we're talking about different tips and stuff, something that, since I've been using crutches for so long, the Loft-Strand kind, when something broke, we could just take from an old set, and we could make do. Now, the new crutches, these the first time I've ever had these, so I'm going to have to go out and spend the money on new tips. And, I can't just borrow from my old ones.
Now, were you able to get insurance now, or find the doctor that you needed? Are you still working with that?
Still going to work with that, because I'm on my dad's insurance now, but I'm going to try and get him a different plan and then go from there. So hopefully soon I will get an orthopedic doctor, and hopefully an orthopedic doctor that is versed in CP, because you want someone that knows what they're talking about. Not every orthopedic doctor is going to be familiar with CP. So hopefully I can get back into my old doctor, which would be great.
Yep. Now, Christina just mentioned, she said, mine were at an angle. I poked through one of the sides of the rubber, and the other is fine. They do make ice-friendly tips, believe it or not. So we were just talking about that, and Christina was, on point with that as well. One of the things I was going to do after the show, I'm going to get with you. I've got a couple of things that I can share link-wise, and I've got a friend that does insurances that is really good. You are located in where are you located, Kyle?
I'm in Illinois.
Illinois. All right. So we kind of talked about a little bit about the modifications. Now, do you drive at all?
I don't.
Okay.
It's been a long journey. I had my permit a few times now, and That's why I related to you so much on one of our discussions about driving DJ.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a lot of fear, because back in, I believe, 2010, I went for an eval for driver's ed to see if I was able to take driver's ed, and the woman, it was not a very pleasant experience, through fault of my own, partially because I went in very confident and I think overly cocky, because Christina had went to this evaluator and several other friends. There was 5 of us in high school that needed to take this eval to see what drivers
Right.
and they had all passed. So I had went in thinking, well, if they passed, well, so am I. Like, how am I not going to pass? And I went in overconfident and overly cocky, and I don't think the instructor liked that too much. And the eval didn't go as well as I had hoped, and I had been practicing up until that point with just using like no assistive technology, like just plain feet on the pedals and steering wheel.
Right, that's what I was doing. Yes.
And we got there, and they were like, well, you need to use a knob on the wheel, and gas up on the wheel also, with a lever. And I just wasn't very, well, I hadn't practiced that. That wasn't my plan.
Right. They threw a curveball into what was going on, so to speak.
Right. So then they're like, okay, let's practice. And I did not do well with the knob or the gas. I actually didn't even get to control the gas. We drove for about 20 minutes. I should also mention, side note that's kind of relevant to the story, they had asked me if I wanted an observer in the car, because she was just learning how to, like, she was going to be an evaluator and she was just observing.
Sure.
And I had agreed, and I wish I wouldn't have, because as we're doing this eval and things aren't going well, she's talking to the observer about, see how he's doing this and see how he's doing that. So then it just made me very self-conscious.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, like I'm not doing well, and here she's explaining to this other person, like, so it was not good. I ended up crying after it was over, because she said, well, you are a danger to the road as of this point. Go home and practice volleyball to work on reflexes and come back in a year. But that experience was very traumatic, and I wanted nothing to do with driving.
Yeah.
For several years. And I had my permit most recently. It just expired in May. But with the coronavirus and everything, I really wasn't practicing my driving. So it expired again.
Right.
I will say, with my 3rd time using the permit, it was the best time that I had, because I was actually driving more consistently.
Right.
Like, more often. Because that was the thing with the first 2 times I got my permit. Like, I had the capability and option to go drive, but I was just letting the fear of, what if something happens?
Yeah. See,
what if I cause harm to somebody?
Yep, that's kind of where I went. You and I use the steering knob on the wheel as well. Now I have a built-up accelerator, just with it's to make it the gas even with the brake for an easy transfer. But mine wasn't. There is the fear there of hurting. My big thing is hurting someone else. I passed. I did not pass the first time. I passed the second time when I took the test the second time. And there's always the fear of hurting somebody else. I could care less about me. It's the other people on the road that I am concerned about, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But one thing that Miss Winnie has taught me, one thing that our CP group has taught me, is you cannot let fear drive you. You have to drive it into the ground. And you have done so much in your life and have affected so many people. you can and you will get past it. Let me say this: we can and we will get past it. Now, we got a question here. My buddy Michael wanted to let you know there's a guy on YouTube. He does yoga for adults with cerebral palsy that would help you with your strength in your legs and your shoulders. Check that out on YouTube. And Michael would like to know, where are you located in Illinois?
I'm about 2 hours south of Chicago.
Okay. All right, Mike, hope that helps you out a little bit. So you are more, how much driving have you done, since I know you said it expired in May. How much driving have you done since before it expired?
Okay. So I was doing really well when I was working because I would drive myself to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was let go because of financial reasons where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended in December. So for January, February, and March, I really didn't drive.
Okay.
Just because it really wasn't going anywhere, even before quarantine.
Right, because you weren't working,
I had picked up in April, and the first time in April, I was like, oh, like, that actually went pretty well for not having driven. Like, it was kind of like muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time I went after that, I'm a person that needs a plan. Like, if we're going to go somewhere, I need to know the route we're going to take.
Right.
And my dad, he has a lot of faith in me, and I really appreciate that, because he always has. But one day we were driving, and he's like, well, why don't you turn here? So he changed my idea of where we were going. And then things just went I just kind of lost my cool, and I just got nervous. and by the end when we got home, it was just like I had lost my nerve again, and I had let that fear come back. So then that was also in April, and then May hit, and then it was like, oh, it expired, but then Corona's also happening, so we couldn't go to the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
And they just now recently opened again, so I could go back and get my permit again, and I do plan on it.
Good.
Because this will be the fourth time, but the third time was better. It was the best time, so the fourth time will be even better. I'm doing a lot of positive self-talk that the fourth time will be even better than the third time, and then I do want to take the test and at least have someone new tell me what I need to work on, and and then I can hopefully work on those things. I know you're working with a psychologist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that would be really cool. But see, because you were talking about the simulator.
Yes.
I've never done a simulator. Like when we did that eval, we were driving the hospital because it was a hospital's campus. So
right.
It was all hands on.
Yeah, same for me too. That's when I was evaluated, same thing. First, the simulator for me is going to be the first time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I would be interested to see how a simulator, like if I would actually do well in a simulator first.
Well, I want to ask you one more question on the driving before we move on to the big R here. We're going to get into relationship in a minute, and everybody's going to want to stay tuned for this one because it's a great thing. Are you using any of the modifications that the last evaluator told you?
No.
Okay.
Because, well, it was one of those, like, I guess because it was so, like, I didn't even get a chance to practice on them while at the eval.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't go well. So I was like, well, do I need them? And, like, definitely actually work with them because it was just kind of thrown at me.
Well, see, and the thing about it, most of the for the turning knob, it's because with CP, a lot of people cannot palm the wheel and by placing their palm flat on the wheel and turn it. The turning knob makes it easier where it's placed for you to grab the knob and turn the wheel in a full circle. Now the gas pedal, usually they evaluate that before you go on the road, and they have you go from the gas and the brake, and they look at, what is your foot doing between the gas and the brake? How are you stopping? How are you going? How much pressure are you putting on the gas when you are accelerating? How much pressure are you putting on the brake when you're stopping? That kind of thing. So
Right.
that's
I never got that.
yeah. There
It
is
was kind of like,
yeah.
I feel at that time that they just made assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
and were like, here, you need this,
Okay.
and it was, and that just rattled me through the whole experience, because it wasn't what I was expecting, and so maybe I need to revisit that.
Yeah, or just go in and talk to them first before you have the eval. Be like, look, I was told that I need this, and I was told that I need to have this, but I don't understand why. I feel like it was thrown at me. Can I get with somebody and can we talk about why I need it? Because I'm not seeing why I need it. I'm able to do this and this. Can you explain to me why? I think asking questions during the evaluation would be very, very helpful, because you have to take control, because this is your life, Kyle. It's nobody else's. Don't let them intimidate you and tell you what you need. Understand why they're saying what they're saying before you agree to anything, because you are in control of your own future.
Thank you, DJ. I think I needed to hear that. So
that, and a lot of people try to intimidate people with CP. And I don't think they mean to do it, but I think it's we're already dealing with fear, on top of how we're going to do things. We got to figure it out for ourselves, just like you kind of figured out with the crutches. Go online, research it, look at it. You figured out so much stuff already. You've got the power. But I think you can also request a different evaluator. You had a lot of things that you talked about that kind of rattled you, so to speak. You had someone else in the car, which you wish you wouldn't have had, and you have the ability to rectify that. So I mean, that's another option.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right,
it's a long journey, but I'm confident that you and I are going to get.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because I agree, and confidence on the road is tough. It's tough either way, but I've got faith in you, man. You're going to get there. We'll get through it together, and just small steps, small baby steps. That's one thing that Miss Winnie told me that made a big difference. It's not get behind the wheel and drive 20 miles. It's get behind the wheel and back up. Get behind the wheel and find your feet. Get behind the wheel and find your turning radius. Go in a parking lot for an hour. Figure out what you want to do. You can get there, and I think that's something that you have the ability to do, but you can't let fear overtake you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
I'm trying. It's hard. I'm trying.
And that's the thing. That's what people have to realize. For us to overcome this, we are trying. We are working on it, and that's all we need to do. The best thing we can do is try. If it works for us, it works for us. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't know if driving is going to work for me. I'm going to give it my all and see what happens. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to stress myself over whether it does or doesn't. I'm going to give it my all, give it my best, and go with the flow, and what happens, happens. That's the way it's going to go for me. And honestly, you're going to give it all you can do and do the best you can, and what happens, happens. No one can control the outcome but you. The one thing that I don't want to do that I've done, and the one thing that you don't want to do that you've done, is let fear control the whole outcome. And that happens a lot with me, it happens a lot with CP, and it happens a lot in life. People are controlled by fear. So, moving on a little bit, I want to get into this topic because she's still online, and I want to mention it here. You recently just got into a relationship, man. Won't you tell us a little bit about that?
I did, and the CP group that you and I and she is in kind of re-sparked our relationship. We had been we've been friends for 11 years now. And we had previously tried to date in high school, and things just didn't work out when you're young, and, things just don't work out. Well, we've always stayed friends since our initial breakup, and, then we entered this group together, and, as we're just having conversations with everyone, and they're asking, well, are you dating? Like, are you sure you're not together? And we're like, in the very beginning, it was like, well, yeah, like, I'm sure, like, we're not together, like, we're just really good friends. But the more that persisted, it was like, well, if they're seeing something in us that, and they barely know us, at this time, we weren't super close. We were all just getting to know each other, and they're asking these questions. Like, well, like, maybe it's worth revisiting. And, I sat on, I was listening to everyone's comments, and it kind of re-sparked, like, yeah, I think we need to try again and see what really happens, and, put in the effort and the work. And so far, I think we're doing really well. And it's really nice. For those who don't know, she also has cerebral palsy, so it's really nice that we can connect on, our hobbies and passions, but also on such a deep level of dealing with CP and the struggles that it creates. And because nobody understands, nobody gets it unless you have CP.
Oh, did you hit the nail on the head right there? Took the words right out of my mouth. Go ahead, brother.
And I have to say, even though you and I have CP, DJ, your experience with CP is different than mine.
Sure.
So, we can't, it's not a perfect, we can't relate perfectly on everything. But when somebody just has CP and just understands that, it'll throw you curveballs every day.
Sure.
Like, no day is the same. Like, that is just something that's really nice to have. I'm not saying that people with disabilities aren't able to have relationships with people without disabilities. I think that's entirely possible, and there should be more of that. I don't think anyone should be afraid to be in a relationship with someone who has a disability at all, because relationships are more about, do you connect with a person? On a deep level, like, can you, how do you feel when you're with them? It's not about if they're in a wheelchair or using crutches. But I did get lucky that the person I'm in a relationship can also relate to me on that level. And it's really nice.
Let me ask you this. Now, you said that y'all were able to stay friends in high school. A lot of times when people break up, they're done. Let me ask you this. How were you able to stay friends through high school?
I think it's just because we had been friends for a few years, a couple of years. I asked her out my senior year, and I met her my sophomore year. So we were friends for 2 years before we ever tried to be in a relationship. And I think we just, in those 2 years, built a pretty solid foundation of just a connection as friends. So when we decided to take it to the next level and be in a relationship, and it didn't work out, I think we were still able, because we had been such good friends, that we were able to just go back to that solid
keep that connection.
Right. And because we broke up, and then a week later it was my birthday, and she was at my birthday party. So if that goes to tell you anything, we've always had a very strong connection, whether it be romantic or as friends. And I think that's what's been able to keep us together this whole time. 11 years is a long time. And
yeah.
That we've been in each other's lives, and I think, and that was the initial worry when we decided to, try and see if there's any romance behind
Sure.
Was like, well, what if it doesn't work out again? Are we going to be okay? And I truly believe that we would be, because we've just been a part of each other's lives for so long, that she's important to me whether or not we're in a romantic relationship or a friendship.
And that right there, you just, and again, listen to this, guys. Kyle said something very important, and I'm going to spend the last 15 minutes of the show talking about this because it needs to be said. There is a connection with CP when there are two, female and male, whether you're friends or whether you're not. There's a struggle. It is a struggle every day. Sometimes it's a struggle every moment. And I think this is where Kyle and Christina are able to connect, because she just said this: we just got each other. We've been part of each other's struggles, so you understand what each other feels. And I think the part that made it stick, and here's where it comes in, is you were friends first. Everybody wants to jump into a relationship so fast. Everybody wants to get there and get to third base and slide into home so quick. Because I got to get there, man. I got this girl. I got to put the ring on her finger. I got to get the finances. I got to get the car. I got to get the this. No, what you got to do is step back and realize what you got. See, a woman's like a flower, and if you hold her with your palm open, she'll always come back to you. But if you hold her with your palm closed and smother her to death, she's gonna wilt. See, and a lot of people don't realize that that's gonna happen. So I'm very happy for you, Kyle, that you found Christina in the friendship role, also in the romantic role. And I'm gonna have Christina and Kyle on my show eventually. We're gonna do a couple show with myself and Emily and Christina and Kyle and one other couple that I'm gonna have on. But it's amazing to hear, that it made you think. All these people were saying, "Hey, are you guys a couple? Are you guys a couple?" You kind of went, "You know what? I need to reevaluate this. If everybody's seeing it, maybe it's happening." And I respect that. Tell me this, Kyle. What attracts you to Christina, mentally, physically, and spiritually?
Well, she's always been in my corner. She's always someone I can lean on when I'm struggling, when I'm sad, but also when I'm happy, and I can celebrate with her. Mm-hmm. And in the accomplishments, and not just my accomplishments, but her accomplishments. Mm-hmm. And she continues to push me, and I continue to push her, and that's something that I think is really special. Is like, we don't get jealous of each other's achievements. It's like, I'm right there with you, and like, I'll help you get to the next one, or you'll help me get to the next one. Because she has been doing several 5Ks now. Mm-hmm. And she is helping me get to a level where I could attempt. I had previously attempted one in March, a virtual 5K, and I hit a mile. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that's good, but, I want more. And, she's, I said, I want to do more, and her response was, okay, like, I'll help you.
Yeah, see, and that, again, you build each other up, and being able to do that and being able to understand that, so you go back to that connection that you have as friends, and on the level of ability. I'm not going to say disability, because this is straight ability. When you have the same struggles and you have the same features and you have the same thoughts and you're trying to connect, when you have the same thing that you're building toward, it makes it easier. And I think that is amazing for you too. How can you talk about the connection on the you said you push her and she pushes you. What about on the happiness level? What makes you happy about her aside from that?
Well, she just, we can watch movies, like, we relate so much on movies, like, that's the thing, our hobbies, we can do things together. She's just fun, it's fun being with her. We laugh a lot, we've seen each other's tears, it's just so comfortable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's when you find that comfort. It's just nice to, you can be yourself. I can be myself with her.
That's what I was waiting on right there. That's it. The phrase you just said. I can be myself when I'm around her. That is the key to a relationship right there. When each person can be themselves around each other. And this is important too. Everybody doesn't have to like all the same things. They can like different things. It's okay. It's nice to watch movies together. It's nice to play games together. It's nice to do things together, but it's also nice to have your own individual things that you do so that you're not together all the time, because I will tell you this, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that's a very true statement. We got about 9 minutes left on the show. Kyle, is there anything that you would like to? Can you leave our listeners with a word of inspiration about cerebral palsy and about life, just that you would want to say to someone that's maybe struggling in that area?
Well, and this goes a lesson that I've learned: just take one step, because I was in a pretty bad physical state. I had let myself go after not having physical therapy for so many years. After high school, I had let myself go. And I eventually, I realized that for the longest time, I didn't realize how bad I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
Christina did, and she got me a Wii Fit just to get me moving again. I wasn't doing anything. And then she got me the Wii Fit, and I started doing the balance games on there, and all the yoga and all that. And then it was like, well, like, this is fun. Like, I could do more.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, well, maybe I should get a gym membership. And then that worked for a while, and then eventually it was like, ooh, I kind of would like, a home, have stuff at home.
Yeah.
Like, and now I have an exercise bike. I have a fitness trampoline. I have a weighted ball for exercise. I have an ab machine. I really want to get a treadmill. And it's just, I've been exercising every day for quite a while now, especially with quarantine, with nothing else to do.
Yeah, you continue to push yourself to the next level, and she continues to help you get to that level. Awesome.
Yeah, and I would just say, if you're someone that really wants to make a change, whether it be mentally, physically, whatever you're going through, just take one small step, because that's what happened to me, and now I can't see my life without exercising. For 2 years after I graduated college, I lacked a lot of motivation because things just weren't happening for me. I didn't have a job, and I'm currently unemployed right now, but I'm filling my time with exercising and my YouTube videos and doing, connecting with everyone in the CP community, and all this fun, exciting stuff. And it all started with me just deciding, well, I got to do something.
Right.
And then, eventually the Wii Fit led to a gym membership, which led to me just like, I'll just do it at home. But now I've been doing it every day, and making YouTube videos even. I was really nervous about making them, and I'm nervous every time I put out a video of like what people are going to think. But it's something that I was like, well, I'm just going to be brave. I'm going to be brave and do it once. And then one video turned to 2 videos. 2 videos turned to 10 videos.
It just continued. Continued to grow.
Mm-hmm. 81.
Wow, man, you just...
Now I look forward to I'm nervous about what people are going to say, but it's therapy for me to put a video out on a topic that is relevant to my life and hopefully can be relatable to someone else that's watching.
Sure.
And, I didn't know what YouTube was going to lead, but YouTube led to Miss Winnie finding me through one of my videos and asking me to do a CP conference.
Right.
And then she introduced me to you and everyone else in our special group in that special project. And, now who knows what's possible, but I didn't know that that's what was going to happen through starting a YouTube channel. I didn't know how good I was going to feel physically and mentally from exercising.
Yeah.
Like if you would ask me 2 years ago that you would feel this way about exercise and that I enjoy it and like it brings me happiness, I would be like, you're lying, you know?
And now you see that. I mean, it kind of reminds me. I was thinking about Armstrong on the moon. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It's one small step for CP, but it's one giant leap for CP kind. And if you think about it, talking about the small steps that you're taking, which are leading to so many bigger things, your life has been energized because you are taking the steps to energize your life. We've got about 4 minutes left on the show, Kyle. I just want to get how can people reach you? Tell us your YouTube link. Again, that is in the Facebook comments, guys. Kyle, how can people reach you?
Well, a couple different ways. I have the YouTube channel, My Disabled Experience with Kyle Russo. Again, I post every Tuesday. I have the My Disabled Experience Facebook page where I do post my videos, but I also post other disability-related content that I enjoy or I just think is funny. So it's more broad, I know Christina just shared, we'll share, helpful tips and tricks and just, I know Christina had posted a link on my page today about Zappos.com that they're offering mismatched size shoe pairs for people with, that don't have the same size feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or they're selling single shoes now, starting, I think, July 21st. But yeah, and I know she's posted some other helpful things with crutch bags for carrying things around. So there is, unofficially, there's also the My Disabled Experience podcast. I had started that, and there's a few episodes on there, and I kind of took a step back and have just been focusing on YouTube. For any TikTok users out there, if you want to see me act silly and a little goofy and hear my bad singing voice, you can follow me on TikTok at CP TikToker12. That's yeah.
Well, Kyle, man, it's been awesome having you on the show. I love it. This has been I cannot wait to get you and Christina to have the couples episode, man. You're a great friend. You're an inspiration to me. You always have been. Guys, check this guy's YouTube channel out. He's really good at what he does. I mean, he's passionate about it. He cares about it, and he cares about people. Take small steps, as he said. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the show today. We've had a lot of viewers coming in late. A special thank you to Kyle Russo, my special guest, talking about CP modification, CP relationships. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch the video, please go back and watch it. I'm going to post it on My CP Does Not Define Me, my YouTube channel. You can reach me on the Sports Menu Radio Show at yahoo.com. You can reach me on CarterDJ85 at gmail.com. And please tune in every Wednesday evening at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for My CP Does Not Define Me, because it does not define me, and it does not define you for that matter. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the J with a roll away, saying we'll see you again next week for one of the greatest shows of the hour. My CP Does Not Define Me. We'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.